I've said to Jo Merrett that she could also join in the conversation and at this point, and I'm going to actually add the spotlight, Judith, because I don't really want to lose you from the conversation. Um, so I'm going to maybe let you and Jo have a chat actually.
Sure.
But Jo, perhaps you want to tell us a little bit about your own journey, your experience of home education. You know, how you've come across home education. What's your involvement?
Sure. First of all, hi Judith. We actually have not met before, although
We
I
haven't.
did
Nice
put
to meet
something in
you.
the book for your kids as a researcher, which was fantastic. Great thing to
Thank
facilitate
you.
and do. So hats off to you for that. Brilliant piece work. Um, I'm a researcher at the University of Exeter. I've been researching home education there and education outside the school system in general since 2017 at Exeter University. Um, and been working on not just research, but influencing policy at national and local level, and also talking to a lot of other academics about home education. Inspired actually by our very own Harriet Patterson, who has been a wonderful academic mentor to me since I started. So thank you to Harriet, absolute hero of mine. Um, and I also try and create a lot of work around neurodiversity and education and neurodiversity and young people's experiences just in general, living life as a neurodivergent young person and how they are included or not in society, youth groups, and their local area. So at the moment, the other thing that I have been doing is working on the university's admissions process and being the obsessive focused person that I am. I took a part-time job in admissions to understand it and have managed to make some quite, I think, significant changes to how admissions see home educating applicants, which I can show you if I can screen share in a minute, if that's all right,
Yeah,
Julia.
you should be able to.
Because I think so often home education, I think lots of institutions forget that you can opt for school or education otherwise, and they actually hold equal weight in law. And we shouldn't just be gearing everything up towards school children. We should consider both options.
Yeah, you're going to share that now, yeah? Oh, and let me, I think I'm still sharing Judith's image there, this book image. Sorry. Okay, you should be able to share now. So sorry.
So I get the right screen because I've
Okay, yeah,
got a
no, and
million screens up with a
that's the problem.
ADHD brain.
I could do with a few big screens actually around me just to sort myself out.
Okay.
Let's come. There we go.
Hopefully you've got the right one and not load of my notes.
That's, that's no, that's that applying as a home educated
There you
student.
go. So uh this was a mix of admissions and widening participation and access teams to the university, as well as being informed by my research. So I'd done some research over a few years with home educators, and I think we have totaling about 2,000 participants across 2 or 3 studies. And the all of the questions and insights that we garnered around going to college or university, doing exams, and going through that process as a home educator were all drilled down into what questions they had, what barriers they perceived, and how we might overcome that as a university to welcome home educators as applicants. So all of that research informed what then went on the website, including loads of frequently asked questions. So now we have a dedicated page, and this is sector leading across universities. So some universities had a bit of information on some courses for home educators, but very few actually had dedicated pages. So we've created a whole page for home educated students. And the questions that we took from the research, we went back to the community with some focus groups on the questions and answers to make sure that they landed right, to make sure that they made sense and that they were the ones that home educators wanted. So it's quite a comprehensive list. So above the information about applying, we've also now got some of the most common questions that home educators had when they were thinking about and going through the application process for university. And we also included, which was a really interesting part of it, because a lot of applicants didn't just do the GCSE route, there was often some perceived complications if they had perhaps American style SATs or a mix of different qualifications, or if they'd done like OU modules instead. So we actually then ended up, because there were so many, working with a group from America, so Michelle Holmes and Kat Patrick, which you may have heard of in the home ed world. And we went through and we did a really bespoke, apart from the bespoke page for home educators, we came up with a page dedicated to understanding if you are doing American style SATs and have those transcripts, how that we can, as UK students, how we can deal with your application with American style SATs if you don't go down the GCSE route. So that has a whole separate set of information, and you can see all the equivalencies if you're doing other qualifications and not GCSEs. So lots of supplementary information on the page. And on every page, there is an inquiry line. And the other thing that we did set up as part of this, because it often is complex if you've got a mixture of qualifications, is we have now got a bespoke position that's been set up. So there's a person called Caspian. And when you email in, you can ask for the home ed lady or you can ask for Caspian. And then you can ask for a one-to-one appointment on Zoom or Teams, I think they do it on. And then you can tell that person what course you're interested in doing. You can tell them what qualifications you've currently got or which ones you're looking at, and they will tell you if that will be accepted to get on that course, or if it won't be, or if not everything you've got is enough to get on the course, they will then tell you what else you could do in order to get on the course. So really bespoke offering to ensure that it's really clear what you need to get on a course with us. So that was,
Fantastic.
yeah, really exciting. We're the first in the sector to do that, which is really exciting. And it isn't just home educators, it actually then widens to now all of the children that have maybe come out of school without GCSEs, which is what's happened this year. A lot of children left school without GCSEs, phoned our helpline and wanted to get information and booked a one-to-one appointment about what else they might do in order to come to university without GCSEs. So that's a really exciting step, I think.
I mean, I think we had a conversation about this a few years ago, Joe, where I said to you it would be really good to get a program where the university kind of allows home educated kids, or particularly through COVID, that lot, no questions asked, and see how they do as a study. How do these, are they dropping out? Are they keeping up? Is somebody monitoring that, to see how they're performing?
Yeah, so it's quite a complex landscape and there's lots of different compliance things in place. So with Oxford and Cambridge, they do what's called direct entry. So you don't necessarily go through UCAS, you can go direct entry to those universities. But with like Russell Group universities or other universities, most of those will not offer a direct entry, which means you go via UCAS. What that means is it then removes the option for an entry test. However, there are places like Open University that are obviously you can go to and do an access course, and other universities offer an access course which you can then go through to do a degree at a Russell Group or another university. So there are other options and pathways, and I think for me, what I've learned trying to do things from the inside out is that there are established pathways, for example, for mature students that we can borrow and then rearrange slightly to make it suitable for home educated kids.
Yeah.
So that's really useful to understand what processes are and are not doable in that sense. But the other thing that we have been doing at Exeter that I've been pushing is that we're looking at whether it was possible to do an exam centre and look at whether that could be rolled out sector wide across universities. So can we be an exam centre? Weirdly, because of the league tables, it had a complication about being measured, and there were concerns that if home educators were doing exams and they maybe didn't match up to the wider league tables, how that might affect universities. So the alternative actually has been, that's a whole other issue and one I'll be working on, but there are there is an alternative, which is that setting up to take mock exams and to work with local colleges to, again, try and set a precedent for other areas so that universities might be able to offer mock exams, marked mock exams, which then local colleges could accept in place of a GCSE to get onto some of their courses. So there are other things that are being looked at the moment, which are also really exciting and might offer another pathway, especially with the dwindling number of exam centres. So the other thing that we have done as well, which I'm really pleased about, is that all of the outreach work that we do has now been extended to home educators. So everything that we typically offered to schools, so we have this Exeter Scholars is a good example. Last year we rolled this out and opened it up, and last year we had our first home educators actually get onto our Exeter Scholars programme and take part in a lot of our wider outreach and access to university pathways and projects and events. So that was really exciting because that actually is another pathway to looking at how you get into university and supporting students in the transition to get to university. And it also just widens the view for universities and colleges to remember that these young people exist outside the school system and that we should really be considering them. So that's really exciting. And we also have got, which I can probably share with Juliet to share later, a little mini form with like 3 questions. We don't need to know any of your own details. But this year we'll be setting up, we trialed it last year, it was really successful. And this year we're putting on some bespoke Zoom calls for home educators, whether they're thinking about university, about to apply to university, or don't know about the process at all, or for example, want to do medicine, which is really competitive, we're putting on some bespoke Zoom calls that are for home educators specifically to address their questions, give them information. And if you don't know anything about applying to university, we can put on sessions for that as well.
You're doing some great work there, Joe, and I've no doubt that it's your influence that has got some of these things going. So that's really fantastic to hear about. And I'm hoping you'll be able to join us maybe later on this evening just to chat a bit more.